So in this lab, we will create one VPC, that is the custom VPC. So by default, in one region, one default VPC is created. But if you want to create your own VPC, so that is known as custom VPC. So VPC is a virtual private cloud space that we can get to keep our instances. So, so there are some tasks that we will be doing in the lab session. So here you can see there is one VPC and the CIDR block of that VPC is 10.0.0.0/16. That means 16 bit of this CIDR block we are using for the network purpose and 16 bit of this CIDR blocks we are using for the host purpose. So inside this VPC, you can create multiple subnetwork. So right now you can see here there are two subnetwork, right? One subnetwork is 10.0.1.0/24 and the other subnetwork is 10.0.2.0/24. Means the number after this slash should be always greater than this number, right? That means your network address should always be larger than the network address of the VPC, right? So that you need to remember in your mind. So here these two VPC are created and you can see here the VPC's network address are different. For this VPC, network address is 10.0.1 and for this VPC, this private network, the network address is 10.0.2, right? So means these two network address is different. That means these two sub networks are different. Now you can see here, but network address of this subnet and this subnet, right? So the network address, first 16 bit of this subnet should be same with this VPC, right? Because this subnetwork is created inside this main network. Now you can see here one more thing. If you want to access, so you are sitting here and you want to access your subnetwork from outside this VPC, so you will be able to access your public subnetwork instances only, not to the private subnet instance, right? Because private subnet instance can be accessed locally inside this VPC, you can call, right? Or to whomever you are allowing inside this VPC, but not from the internet. So this public subnet is connected to the internet via one router and through this internet gateway, right? So we will be seeing in today's lab that public instance that is present in the public subnetwork can be connected to the internet, but the instance that is present in the private subnet will not be connected to the internet. You can ping this private subnet instance from this public subnet instance, but vice versa is possible, right? From the public subnet instance you can ping to the private subnet instance, you can ping to the public subnet instance. That is possible, but you cannot directly log into this private subnet instance from your system, but we can do with this public subnet instance. So we will be seeing each and everything in today's lab. So what we are going to do, we will be accessing private subnet instance from the public subnet instance and we will be connecting to the public subnet instance from my system. So like this we will be able to seeing the working of instance that is present in private subnet and how instance that is present in public subnet behaves. So now I am going to so if you see here, so these are some steps. So you will create one VPC, you will connect that VPC to the internet gateway and you will create one public subnet and one private subnet inside the VPC. Now you will create two routing table. One routing table you will connect with the public subnet by writing some defining some routes there, and one routing table you will connect with this private subnet by defining some rules there. Then you will create two EC2 instance, and one EC2 instance you will create in public subnet and one EC2 instance you will create in private subnet, and you will assign security group to both the instances. Then you will check the internet availability or reachability from the EC2 instances, and then you will ping one EC2 instance from the other EC2 instance and you will check the connectivity. So like that our assignment will be like this. So I'm just going to open VPC here. So now in the VPC you can see I am accessing through Mumbai region, and you can see one VPC is already present, right? So if you go and check the VPC, you can see one VPC is available, and the CIDR block of that VPC is 172.31.0.0/16. And here we know that the default VPC available in AWS platform, they are using this CIDR block. So in Mumbai region, one VPC is created, right? Suppose I want to access to some other region, right? Suppose I want to access to Singapore region. So you will be able to see that one VPC with the same CIDR block will be available in Singapore region also, right? But inside a single region, you cannot create VPC with same CIDR block, right? That is not possible because the CIDR block will be overlapping. So you cannot make one room on the other room, right? So you cannot make another building on the same building, right? You can make different building, make same buildings structure at different location, right? That is possible. But on a single building, you cannot make another building. One will destroy, right? So the same thing, if you have created one virtual cloud network space, so you cannot create another network on the same network. So that is not possible. So now I want to create my own VPC. So this VPC is the default VPC. With each VPC, three things will be associated, right? DSCP, option set, main routing table, and NACL rules. And tenacity will be default. And the whether this VPC is the default VPC or not. So here it is written yes. That means this VPC is the default VPC. When you will create your custom VPC, so in that case, this default VPC option will be no. Now I'm just going to create VPC. So here you can see two options are appearing, right? So whether you want to create only VPC. So if you want to create only VPC, in that case, internet gateway, subnet, and routing table will not be created, right? Only VPC will be created, and you need to do all the association manually, right? But now I just want to go for VPC and more option where I will create VPC as well as subnet option, right? So what I want to do here, I want to provide name to this VPC as, so I want to provide name to this VPC as custom. So you can see one name is appearing, custom VPC is appearing. So now what I want to do, so you can see what will happen if I'm just going to select VPC and more. So that this kind of structure will be visible here. So one VPC will be created. Inside this VPC, 4 subnet will be created, right? One public and one private subnet in availability zone 1A, and one public and one private subnet in the other availability zone, right? So I'll show you later on. So I'm just creating one VPC, and CIDR block of that VPC I'm keeping as 10.0.0.0. Now after that, what I'm going to do, I'm not assigning any IPv6 CIDR block because we need only IPv4 CIDR block. Now in how many availability zone you want to deploy the you can say subnet. So I'm just selecting 2 because in Mumbai region there are 3 availability zone, but we are not allowed to access all the 3. We are able to only access 2 availability zone, right? And number of public subnet, how many public subnet you can create here, right? So here you can see either you can create 2 or 0, right? So we want to create 1, but one option is not provided here. So I need to check. I want to customize subnet CIDR block, but I cannot change number here. I don't know whether it is possible or not, but I'm just selecting 2 here, 2 public and 2 private subnet, right? Not more than that. Now CIDR block you can assign to the public and private subnet according to yourself, right? So you can see here the CIDR block that is assigned to public subnet 1 is 10.0.0.0/20. I want to change this, right? So what I want to make it, I want to make it 10.0.1.0/24. That means 24-bit will be network address, remaining 8-bit will be host address. So inside this CIDR block, you can connect maximum 256 systems, host system, not 256, 256 minus 5. So I will discuss why we are doing minus 5 later on. But right now you need to remember, in this CIDR block range, you can connect 251 host. Now, for this public subnet, I will assign, I am just keeping 16 only, because I am not going to use this CIDR block. Only we will be using this public subnet, not this public subnet, right? Now going to the third part, that is the private subnet. So I'm just assigning 2.0/24. This one is coming under my main VPC. Now for this one I'm not doing anything. I'm just writing 24 here, so I will not be using this one also. So only one public subnet, this subnet, and one private subnet I will be using to create our instances. Now whether you want to use NAT gateway, so I'm just writing none here because it will incur cost and we don't need this right now. So in the VPC endpoint setting, I'm just making none here because we will do some other lab assignment on VPC endpoint setting, not right now. So now after that, if you want to provide any additional tag, so you can provide, but I'm not going to provide any tag here. Now I will create my VPC. So when I will create VPC, every other thing will be created, right? So subnet, DNS host name, DNS resolution, routing table, so everything is created, right? Why? Because I have chosen that option VPC and more option, right? So everything is created here. Now go to view VPC. So when you will go and see view VPC, you will see one custom VPC is created, right? And subnets are also created inside this VPC. If you see here, automatic name is provided to the subnet. So right now you can see here custom subnet private 2 and private 1, right? And custom subnet public 2 and public 1. So what we will be doing, we will be using this one, right? This one, this private one, and this public one, right? And now if you see the routing table, so a routing table is also created. How many routing table? So 2 private routing table and 1 public routing table. So if you go and check the information about private routing table, so you can see here, if you see the routes information of this routing table, you can see only local connection within this subnet is defined here. Now if you go to subnet association part, so you can see here this routing table is associated with my this private subnet, right? 10.0.144.0, right? So if you just want to go to this private subnet, so this private subnet's route will be defined locally, and you can see this route is defined locally, and in the subnet association you can see here this routing table is connected to my other private network, that is 10.0.2.0/24. Now if you go to this public subnet, here one more information will be present, right? If you go to routes, so in the routes you will see a route is provided to the internet via this internet gateway, and local communication is possible inside in the public subnet. If you go to the internet gateway, so one internet gateway you need to attach with each VPC, right? So right now my VPC is custom VPC. So for this VPC, one internet gateway is connected, and if you just see the default VPC, one internet gateway connected to the default VPC also. Now we will create two EC2 instance, right? And we will create one EC2 instance in one subnet, that is public subnet, and we will create another EC2 instance in the private subnet. So just go to EC2, and here you can see no instances are connected right now, running right now. Just go and create EC2 instance. So go to launch instance, and I'm just writing here public RT. Okay, now if you go down, so what kind of EC2 image, OS image you want? So I'm just going to select Windows, and I will use 2019 version, right? So you can use 22 also, but there will be more restrictions. So I'm just moving to the 2019 version. Now t2.micro is freely available. So I'm just going to select t2.micro instance type. Now if you want to use one key pair, so I'm just creating one key pair, and I am writing public RTKP. Okay, now the private key file type should be .pem file. Now I'll create kp. Okay, now if you go down in the network setting, we need to do changes. So go and do edit setting, and here in the VPC I will not connect to the default VPC, I'll connect to the custom VPC, right? Because we have created one custom VPC, and inside that custom VPC I'm creating public EC2 instance, right? So for that purpose we need to connect with public subnet. So as we know, there are two public subnet created, right? So if you see, this one is my private subnet 2, this one is private subnet 1, and if you go down you can see public subnet 2 and public subnet 1. So I'm just going to select the subnet with 10.0.1.0. So I'm just going to select that option, and you can see here by default auto assign public IP is disabled. So if you see the default VPC, in that case this option is by default enable. So you need to make it enable for your case, because we are creating public EC2 instance, so that should be connected to the internet, and when we need to assign public IP to this EC2 instance. Now we will create one security group, and I'm just providing here VPC RG, VPC SG, right? And public I'm writing here. So we are allowing RDP connection from anywhere, and apart from that we will allow you can say ICMP, because we just want to ping from one system to the other system, right? So from anywhere we are allowing this option. Okay, so and apart from that you can, if you want to allow, you can allow all traffic from everywhere, right? So that you can also provide. So these three rules I am associating with my security group and nothing else. Now I will launch my instance. So one instance, so these two were earlier existing instances. Now so this one is my public RT, right? So this one is in the pending condition, so it will be in the available condition after some time. Now go to launch one more instance, and I'm just writing here public private RT. So when I'm writing private RT here, I will again select Windows instance, and here I will select 2019 version, and after that in the instance type it will be t2.micro, and in the key pair I will create one more key pair, and I will write private RT KP, something like that. Now after this one, what we will do, we will do the network setting, and we will connect to the custom VPC, and here I will connect with the private instance, right? So 10.0.2.0 subnet, and auto assign public IP address I will make it disable, because I don't want to connect this instance with the internet. Now security group, if you will select the previous security group, still you will not be able to connect with the internet. I am selecting the same one, but I will not be able to connect with the internet. So that is it. Now I will launch my EC2 instance. So this is EC2 instance will be in launching, right, phase. So first it is EC2 instance, so I'm just writing here running. So only running instance will be visible here. So right now my one instance is in running condition. After some time the other instance will also be appearing here, right? So till the time it becomes an active condition, we need to wait. Okay, now you can see here my public instance 2x2 check is passed. So I will connect with this my public instance. So go to connect option, go to RDP client, and get password from here. I will download remote desktop file, and I will get password. Okay, so it is showing that password is not available right now. So I need to go to the instances right now here again, public RT, connect, RDP client. So I have already downloaded remote desktop files. I will go to generate password. So now my password is available. So I will connect with public RTKP and then I will decrypt password. So I got my password. So I'll copy this password and save this in Notepad. Okay, so I'm just writing public. Okay, so now after this one, I will connect with my instance. So I will be connect with this instance. So I'm just going to more choices. So username will be administrator and password will be the same password that I copied. So I will be able to connect with this instance. Now what I will do, till the time this instance is getting ready, I will be I'm minimizing this one and I will generate password for my second instance. So if you refresh this option, okay, so this one is still in initializing. Okay, this one is also 2x2 is okay. Now go to connect option. Okay, go to RDP client. So we don't need this remote desktop file, right? Because we cannot connect from everywhere. So we will only generate password. So I will upload my key file and I will decrypt my password. So I'm copying this password from here and I'm pasting it. I'm just writing private. Okay, so after this, what I need to do, I need to go to this instance, right? So this one is my instance. If you go and if you check, so this one is my public RT instance. Okay, so I'll try to connect from this public RT to the private RT. So now I can check here first. I will open my command prompt and I'll check whether I am able to reach to the internet or not. So you will see I will be able to reach to the internet. So I will write ping 8.8.8.8. So I'm able to ping internet, right? So you can see you are able to get reply from the internet. So that means I'm able to reach to the internet, right? Now if you will try to ping to the EC2 instance, right? So other EC2 instance, I need to check whether I will be able to ping or not. So I will not be able to ping right now. Why? Because that EC2 instance is not in the active condition. So if you go to the instances, so you can see here the private IP of the instance is 10.0.2.127. So if you will try to ping here, so you will not be able to get reply because that instance is not in the running condition. Okay, so you can see request timeout. Now I will connect with that instance from this public instance and I will show you when I will ping to that instance I will get reply also. Okay, so I'm just minimizing this window. Now I'm going to, okay, so now I'm just going to here and I'll write remote desktop connection. Okay, now I'll paste the private IP address of that instance with whom I want to connect. After that, username should be administrator and the password will be the same password that we kept in my notepad. So I'm copying this password and I'll use the password here. So now I'm able to connect to my private instance. Okay, so this private instance is opening in my public instance. So you can see here inside this public RT, this 10.0.2.127 is open. Now I just want to use to a different window, right? So you can see inside my public EC2 instance, my private EC2 instance is open, right? Now if you will try to connect with the internet, from this EC2 instance, so you will not be able to do that. So I'm just going to write ping here. I'm just want to open command prompt. Okay, so I want to ping 8.8.8.8, right? So I will not be able to ping to the internet, right? Even I will not be able to ping to the other EC2 machine also. If you want to check, I'm showing you, you will not be able to ping. Suppose you are going to instances, right? You are going to public instance, and I am just copying the private IP address of this public instance. And if I'll try to ping to that instance, I will not be able to do that because there is some restriction here. I will show you what are the restriction on this machine. So you can see you are not able to connect to the public subnet instance. So if you want to allow to the public subnet instance, what you need to do here, okay, so I will not be able to now I need to go to server manager, right? So just go to Windows option, go to server manager, and here on the server manager you need to go to local server, right? And on the local server there are some properties. So if you go and if you want to check the properties, right, I enhance security, that is on, so make it off. Okay, so you need to make it off because this one is not allowing us to connect to the internet or somewhere you can call. Now after this one, what you need to do, you need to go to Windows Defender firewall and it is on, you need to make it off. So firewall is on, just go here and make it off. Okay, so all type of firewall I'm just making off. Okay, so go to local server, go here, one firewall is off. Now go to private network firewall, make it off again. Now go to local server again, and how many other firewalls optional are domain network, private network is off, right? So now you need to check. Okay, so cancel this one and go backside and go down and open command prompt again, and now ping other system, right? Okay, so I'm not able to ping to the other system again, so you need to allow from the other system also, right? So go here, go to the command prompt of this one, not command prompt, you need to go to Windows server manager, and from here, okay, so if you try to so go here and local server option, here I enhance security, that is on, make it off. In the case of Windows firewall, go to public, domain network firewall is off, you need to make it off. Private network off. Okay, public network is firewall is on. If you want to make it off, you can make it off also. Now just go back and now try to ping again. Okay, suppose if I'm pinging from here, right? So I will be able to ping from here. Okay, so it is not allowing me. Okay, so I need to check from the other side also. Okay, so if I'll try to ping, so you can see I'm able to ping to the other system, the public system, right? So I hope from the public system I will be able to ping to this system also. Just we need to wait for some time. So command prompt. So if you see here, I will try to ping to the other system, right? So if you go and check the IP address of this one, 10.0.2.127, 10.0.2.127. So I should be able to ping. Okay, so I'm not able to ping the other system, right? So there must be some problem. I need to check it out. Okay, so earlier I was not able to ping to this instance, my remote desktop file instance, because when you go to server manager, right? So in the server manager, one option was public network access was firewall was enabled. So I needed to do that disable, right? So if you go here, you will see all the options are disabled, right? Firewall, domain network, private network. So if you go to some other option, like if you see here, private networks, public networks, so everything is off. Earlier I made it on, so that's why I was not able to use that one, right? So now I'm able to use. So now if you will try to ping from your public subnetwork to this private network, so you will be able to ping, right? So if you go here and try to ping a private network, so you will be able to ping. And from this private network, if you want to ping to the public network, so you will be able to ping also. So if I'm just making it down here, so from here, if I will try to ping ping 10.0.1.147, so I am able to ping also. So both the system, from public network to private network, I'm able to ping. But if I will try to ping to the internet, I will not be able to ping. Okay, because it is not allowed, because I will not connect to the internet from my private instance. But if I'll try to connect from my public instance and I'll write ping 8.8.8.8, so I will be able to ping to the internet from my public instance. So like this I have showed you, you can connect your private instance. So this one is my private IP address, so you can connect with your private instance from the public instance, but you cannot connect with private instance from your system. And you can ping these two instances, private instance with the public instance, but you cannot connect this instance from the internet. That we have seen in the today's lab. So that is it. If you will try to ping to that instance again, so again you are getting reply, because that instance is in available condition, is in the active condition, that is in the running condition, right? So that is it about today's lab. So thank you.